Have you ever heard about the hundreds of planes that mysteriously vanished over the Pacific in just a few days in 1944? For Japan, this was their last desperate attempt to control the skies, and the skies were no longer theirs. June 1944. The sun was just breaking over the Pacific Ocean, and the waters were calm, with only a faint ripple of waves. But this calm was deceiving. The waters around the Mariana Islands were not just a geographical point for the Japanese Empire, they were the final barrier, the last hope. If the U.S. captured this area, the path to Japanese cities would be open, and the turning point of the war was approaching. Tokyo Command assessed the situation with grave seriousness. They decided to commit nearly all available aircraft to the battle. The plan was bold, but extremely risky. Hundreds of planes, fighters, bombers, and torpedo aircraft had to take off from carrier decks. This was set to be one of the largest aerial assaults in Japanese history. But while the planes were many, the human resources were lacking. Over the years of war, the most experienced pilots had already been lost. Their place was now taken by rapidly trained, inexperienced young pilots, most of whom had never faced real combat before. Yet their orders were clear: find the enemy and destroy them. Many of these young pilots were far from home, having learned to fly only in their youth, now facing the greatest test of their lives. They didn't yet realize the sky itself would become a deadly battlefield, and that every decision could mean life or death. As dawn broke, the first wave of planes took to the skies. Engines roared, shaking the ocean's surface. Every cockpit light blinked against the rising sun, eyes scanning for the enemy. But this sky, now, was no longer theirs. The U.S. fleet was waiting. At this stage of the war, they had advanced technology, radar to track every aircraft, coordination systems for pilots, and the ability to position their planes strategically. Even hundreds of kilometers away, the paths and numbers of the Japanese planes were already known. This pre-planned strategy gave them immediate advantage. American fighters rose into the air. F-6F Hellcats and other planes were faster, heavily armed, and battle-hardened. Before Japanese planes could reach their targets, the Americans directed them precisely, seizing control of the fight. The first encounter erupted with explosions across the sky. Bullets rained down like storms. Planes caught fire, and others plunged into the ocean. Most pilots did not survive. The young Japanese pilots lost their comrades due to inexperience. Among those who fell were even veteran pilots, impossible to replace. The following days were no different. Each wave took off into the sky, but the result remained the same. In just a few days, hundreds of planes and the most valuable asset, experienced pilots, were gone. This was not just a defeat, it was an irretrievable blow. Some pilots survived, alone and haunted by memories of friends and family. Every decision became life or death. Planes were burning, friends were falling in combat, and the harsh conditions forced these young men to grow up fast, at the ultimate cost: their comrades, their friends, and the price of life itself. The Americans later mockingly called this battle the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot, because it was not an equal fight. Japanese planes were swept together into destruction. Many fell or burned before even reaching their targets. Along with them, their hopes and strategic advantage disappeared. After this event, Japan almost completely lost control of the skies. U.S. B-29 bombers now flew freely. Cities burned, factories were destroyed, and the end of the war became painfully clear. In just a few days, Japan lost control of the skies, and losing the skies meant losing resources, control, and ultimately victory. This event remains a decisive turning point in the history of the war. And so, Japan lost control of the skies, marking a decisive turning point in the war. The U.S. now flew freely, bombing cities and crippling the Japanese war effort. If you enjoyed this dramatic and intense historical story, hit the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment below. In our next videos, we'll uncover even more hidden secrets from history.